now on the next topic, which is the non-Mendelian genetics and sex linkages. So non-Mendelian genetics, from the word itself, so we're gonna be getting away, with what we have learned regarding the Mendelian genetics. So, kasi Mendel's study of inheritance dealt with simple, independently segregating traits in pea plants. Although his experiments modernized the study of genetics, Mendel's work does not encompass all possible inheritance patterns that are, of course, recognized in the scientific field today. So, what if, for example, sa dogs, dogs have a lot of what do you call this, offspring, and a lot of fathers as well, that may or may not contribute to the genetic information of the offspring. Regarding the sex linkages naman, so we're gonna be talking about different syndromes, traits, disorders that are linked with the with the it's either male or female. Okay? So, geneticists in the 20th and 21st century further advanced genetics by identifying other patterns of inheritance that deviated from dominant recessive relationship that Mendel had observed in genotypes and phenotypes. So, that being said, so of course that's the essence of continuing the researches, that is, of course, it will be somehow the way, to invent or to observe other things that we should discover. Okay? So, inheritance patterns are also observed in traits concerning the X and Y chromosomes. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. These are the sex linkages. So, the sex chromosomes of a developing fetus determines whether it matures into male or female individual. So, of course, female has two X chromosomes, XX, and of course, males have a pair of X and Y chromosomes. So, in the process of development, an offspring may inherit traits specific only to either the X or the Y chromosomes, which sometimes result in genetic disorder. Pattern of inheritance in pea plants. So, of course, Gregor Mendel, recall lang natin, Gregor Mendel deduced that the expression of inherited traits in the offspring was categorized as either dominant or recessive. This came to be known as complete dominance. So, he explained further that these traits were segregated during gamete formation and were assorted independently into particular gamete. So, during gamete formation pa lang, these traits has been segregated and assorted already. So, these observations still hold true today among some species, but not all species. Scientists have since discovered that other traits na expression are observed in other species. So, hindi siya like kagaya kay Mendel na work na tall and short lang. There are other traits na that can show na even the parents is, for example, black and blue, it can somehow show a gray, na offspring, that's for example lang. So, let's start with those other form of trait expression that is somehow observed in other species. Okay, so the first one is incomplete dominance. So, refers to the combination of blending of phenotypes in a heterozygous organism. So, diba, when we mix colors, it will result into a different color, not the either the parent colors. So, ganun yung nangyayari sa incomplete dominance. In 1760, the scientist Joseph Collier discovered this phenomenon when he crossed a homozygous dominant red carnation. So, actually, this is a carnation with homozygous recessive white carnation. So, as what you can see here, their alleles are homozygous. And as what you can see, diba, kay Mendel na work, it will somehow result into a red flower, no? Since, yun nga, merong dominance, no, na nangyayari. But in the incomplete dominance, there's a possibility, no, a big possibility na hindi either dito sa parent yung lalabas sa offspring, but a different color, a combination of the parents. So the resulting F1 generation consisted of heterozygous pink carnation, signifying the mixing of the color trait. So, if this, if this F1 generation is to be somehow, to be somehow crossed, kumbaga. So, yeah, this is the result. As what you can see, heterozygous dito sa taas, heterozygous din dito sa baba. So, it will result, no, the pink carnation produced an F2 generation that consisted of 2 pink flowers, 1 red flower, and 1 white flower. So, this is the incomplete dominance. Another example, no, real life, kumbaga for humans naman, is the hair. No? In humans, wavy hair is an example of incomplete dominance for the curly and the straight types of hair. So in here, there's an homozygous straight and homozygous curl. No? When they combine, no, they can produce, no, a heterozygous that look like this. No? Medyo, not so curly and not so straight. So this pattern of inheritance occurs when allele for a specific trait does not dominate the other allele completely. That's the reason why it is called incomplete dominance. Okay, so the next non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance is the codominance. So it occurs quite similarly with incomplete dominance in that the heterozygous phenotype is distinct combination of traits that is different sa parent. However, codominance does not involve a blending or mixture. Diba sa incomplete dominance, mag-blend talaga. So red and white, pink, ganun siya. So ang codominance, hindi. So, the results in an intermediate characteristic. Instead, both traits are expressed equally in the organism. So, one example daw of a flower that undergoes codominance is the camellia. I'm not sure lang if you're familiar with it, but I'm not sure either if ito siya, like ito siya. So here, as what you can see, we have our parent, the pink flower and the white flower. And it resulted to both pink and white flower. So again, both characteristics is shown, no, dito sa ating flower. So that is codominance. So this pattern of inheritance occurs when none of the alleles is again identified as either dominant or recessive. Codominant colors appears in erminates, no, chickens with unblended black and white feathers, resulting from a cross between a pure black feathered chicken and a pure white feathered chicken. Okay. So next is codominance in humans. So codominance is also present in the human ABO blood group system. The 3 alleles in the system are A, B, and O. In relation to O, A and B are equally dominant, like they can just mix with the O. Okay? Genotype AA or AO is possible for blood group A. Genotype BB or BO is possible for blood type or blood group B. However, neither blood group A nor blood group B exhibit dominance over the other. Therefore, individuals with the genotype AB exhibit the phenotypic rates of blood group A and blood group B. So again, ulitin ko, pag ang kasama ni A is O, dominant si A. Pag kasama ni B si O, dominant si B. Pero pag magkasama si A at si B, ang tawag nito, equal lang yung dominance, no, ni A at ni B. Kaya example siya ng codominance. Okay? Next, non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance is the multiple alleles. Okay, so it involves genes with 3 alleles or more within a population. So an example daw is ABO blood type, no, na-mention na siya kanina. Your blood type refers to which of certain proteins called antigens are found in your red blood cells. There are 3 common alleles for this trait which are represented by letters A, B, and O. So human blood type is determined by codominant alleles. There are 3 different alleles known as representation natin is big letter I with an A, no, IA, IB, and small letter I. So then IA and IB alleles are codominant and the IA alleles is recessive. So yan. So other pattern of inheritance that have been discussed so far are concerned with pairs of alleles within individual organism only. Multiple alleles, however, involve 3 variation of alleles occurring at the population level. Okay, so antigens, again, they're found in a body's own cells are known as self-antigen, and the immune system does not normally attack these antigens. So the membrane of each red blood cell contains millions of antigens that are ignored by the immune system. So each person has only 2 of these possible alleles for blood type, no, according to this list. The fourth non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance is the polygenetic inheritance. Poly, marami. So it occurs when a single trait is influenced by numerous genes. So recall that Mendel focused only on 2 contrasting traits when observing inheritance patterns in pea plants and assume that a particular trait can have only 2 results. However, traits such as height and the colors of skin, eye, and hair vary among the human population. So, the process of independent assortment and crossing over result in many intermediate conditions in which 2 or more genes have additive effects on the trait under investigation. Skin color, for instance, no, yung color ng skin natin, is a polygenetic trait determined by 3 genes. Assuming that the alleles for dark skin is controlled by genes A, B, and C, with each adding 1 unit of darkness to the phenotype, and alleles for light skin is controlled by gene small letter A, B, and C. The genotype AA, BB, CC, those are all big letters, would represent very dark complexion, and small letters double A, double B, and double C would represent very light complexion. So in this example, there are 3 genes that make reddish pigment in wheat kernels, which we'll call A, B, and C. A, B, and C. So each comes in 2 alleles, one of which makes pigment, so the capital letter allele, okay, and one of which does not, no, which is represented by the small letters. These alleles have additive effects, so the the small letter A's, okay, genotype would contribute no pigment, and the heterozygous A's genotype would contribute some amount of pigment, and the homozygous genotype, no, genotype would contribute more pigment, twice as much as the heterozygous. The same would hold true for the B and C, okay, the B and C that you can see here, B and C genes. So now let's imagine that the 2 plants heterozygous for all 3 genes, heterozygous A, heterozygous B, heterozygous C, were crossed to one another. So yan siya. So ito siya, i-cross siya to one another. Each of the parent plant would have 3 alleles that made pigment. Okay, so meron 3 alleles that made pigment since it is comprised with capital letters, leading to pinkish kernel. Their offspring, however, would fall into 7 color groups ranging from no pigment whatsoever, small letters, small letters A, small letters B, and small letters C, and white kernels to lots of pigment, homozygous dominant no, na A, B, and C, and dark kernels. This is in fact what researchers have seen when crossing certain varieties of wheat. So, ito yung nakita nila. Okay, the next part of the video will be uploaded as well, and it will be entitled Non-Mendelian Genetics Part 2.